Okay, so I know it doesn't look that pretty, but anyway, so I'm going to be replacing this very particular radiator over here with the Hardware Labs GTX 240, and this one will be moving over here, and I will be just replacing this one altogether. So this is the weakest water cooling radiator in my whole loop. It's the thinnest 241, so I will be selling that one with just fans probably, and then the whole loop should be pretty much perfect. I will be fixing some bent like point like this one over here. So this one definitely restricts the water flow. There's one additional one like that in the basement of this Phobia bench table, and there's a minor one here at the CPU water block, although this one will be easy to fix in the future probably, so that's not the most important one for now. So I will be fixing two bent points in the loop itself and just the radiator over here. Yeah, so from here I will just get going. I will probably just show you the end result, and we can do like a test later with some specific gear like Z590 and 11900K probably. So I'll get back to you once I've done my steps, as it's much easier to do everything off camera, but I'm sure you get the idea of this whole process anyways. And okay, so let's just go through all of the different changes very briefly together. So it took me actually a few hours to get all of the different parts changed, and I think I finished somewhere around 1 AM last night. So I was very tired obviously, so that's why I'm making this video right now. But anyways, so here's the Hardware Labs Black Ice GTX 240 radiator with 3 of the Thermaltake ToughFan turbo fans, and all of the fans are connected straight to 12 volts at the moment. Now installing this GTX 240 onto this aluminium like stand or shroud that connects the possible fan or the radiator with this Phobia Vacuum bench table was quite tricky, as the screws that were provided with the radiator aren't long in the end. So I actually had to remove these like rubber pads from each of the fans corners, as they were preventing me to install the radiator onto the stand with the provided screws. So here are the rubber pads that prevent any like possible noise from vibration with these fans. But I think it will be just fine even without those pads. I think there shouldn't be that much noise coming from vibration, but we will see. So the previous 240 radiator is installed over here at the moment, and the slimmer version has been removed altogether, and I will be selling that one with 2 fans. So this one is like I think this is something like 45 millimeters thick, and I just took the NMAX Magma 120 fans from the slimmer version and I installed them over here. The NMAX Magma fans, they do have quite good like specs on paper, but I think they are too optimistic. They aren't like as good as they claim they are on paper, so to say. I might be installing some of these like fan grills that prevent you to stick your finger in the fans, but those aren't something you have to install. They are something you can install if you wish, but I might be doing that later. So that's pretty much the change. So I think this is like 45 millimeters thick now, instead of like 20 or 30 of the slimmer version, and the GTX 240 is 54 millimeters thick, if I'm correct. Now the fixes I mentioned at the start of this video. So here is one of the 45-degree fittings that I installed, as there was a very bad like bend in the tubing over here, and the second one is in the basement of this bench table, right where the EK 360 radiator is installed with the fans. So those are the fixes. Now on top of those, I purchased an additional water cooling reservoir, as I'm still running my very original tube model reservoir, which I purchased in like 2012 or very early 2013. It's very good. You can't really purchase or you can't really find these very long model like Cape Corp model reservoirs anymore. You can find shorter models, but those very long ones, you can't really find them anymore, as they aren't that popular anymore because it's very hard to install any of those in any like normal case. The one that I have, it has some very bad cracks on it because I was using like glugol and water mix in the very early days of this water loop. So I'm not like fully sure how long it's going to last. If it starts leaking, I need to replace it as soon as possible. So that's why I purchased this AlphaCool Cape Corp Pro 25 LT. It's very similar to the one I'm running now, but it's just a shorter model, as I wasn't able to find the 50 model of the Cape Corp, as it wasn't stock anywhere. It's not a big deal. You can get along with a shorter model, but so that's why I'm still using these like old stylish reservoirs, but it's obviously it's not a big deal. It doesn't impact performance at all. Now I think the last question is that are the ToughFan 12 turbos going to stand out from the rest of the system? Like are they the loudest fans in this whole system? And we can test that by turning on this whole machine. So let's do that right now. But yeah, so far I think they are the loudest fans in this whole system, unless this one over here ramps up a lot like what happened now. So as long as this fan stays at relatively low RPMs, the ToughFan 12 turbos are the loudest fans in this whole system. So if you are very sensitive to noise, I wouldn't purchase the turbo versions of the ToughFan 12s. I would just buy the standard versions, and then you would get relatively good performance for your money, so to say. In my case, they might be useful in the end, especially during winter time. So when I open the window, I will have some very cool air running over the whole system, thanks to the turbo versions with the higher RPMs. So that's why I wanted to test them out. But anyways, so these are pretty much the changes. Many of you will be asking what was the whole cost of this whole upgrade and was it worth it, and what are the performance figures. I will be testing that out later with like with something else like Z590 Dark and 1100K, or Z490 Dark Kimpin and 10900K. The total cost wasn't that big. The radiator itself wasn't that expensive. The most expensive part was the actual fans, and if they are too loud to my liking, I can obviously change them later if I wish. I will sell the slimmer version of this radiator over here with the fans, so that should cover some of the cost of this upgrade. I don't know what's the model of this radiator or the slimmer one. I purchased them together back in 2014, so this whole loop has been running in pretty much in this form for around 7 years now. That's a huge time period, obviously. So there are some changes happening along the way, but I think at this moment, or in this current form, this custom water cooling loop is pretty much the best you can even build. So it's very hard to build anything that could outperform this particular water loop by a huge margin, so to say. Of course, I could still change some of the fans, like for example this one over here has now died, but of course that's understandable. If you run any PC fan for so long time period, they can obviously die after some point. But yeah, so these are the changes and the upgrades. So if you like to see this like water cooling update video or like a build rock stylish video, then please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, thanks for watching one of my videos once again, and I will see you on the next one.